there. Welcome back to another episode of It's Fine. Today, we're going to talk about the idea if certain people are meant for us. So, especially recently, I've been seeing so many videos on Instagram talking about different sort of theories surrounding the idea if certain people are meant for us, if we're supposed to have certain people that we love at certain points in our lives, if we love people differently at different points in our lives, different theories around those topics. And I found a lot of them to be so interesting, to say the least. So, we're going to talk about some of these ideas today. Now, most of these concepts or theories are talking about if certain people are meant for us in the sense of romantic relationships, but a couple of these do also address the idea that maybe certain people are meant for us in our lives in a platonic sense as well. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is soulmates. So, I wasn't exactly sure what the definition of a soulmate was. According to Merriam-Webster, a soulmate is a close friend or romantic partner with whom one has a unique, deep connection based on a mutual understanding and acceptance. I feel like when people talk about soulmates, though, they more so think of soulmates as people that they're meant to be with. Like, you have to go out and find your soulmate. I've heard a lot of people say that before. They're like, oh, I'm just waiting for my soulmate to arrive in my life. I'm waiting for them to, come into my life and we'll fall in love and live happily ever after. I almost like this definition better than the idea that a soulmate is somebody that you're destined to be with. I love the idea that a soulmate is just either a close friend or a romantic partner who you have a truly deep connection with and understanding of. The next thing we're going to talk about is a twin flame. Now, twin flames are also called mirror souls. It's the concept that you have such an intense soul connection with someone that some people legitimately believe that you and your twin flame essentially were created from the same soul. So it's the idea that I don't know what in the universe would do this, but it's the idea that you and your twin flame were one soul and then you were split apart into two people. And you're supposed to go through your life trying to find your twin flame. While I was doing research about twin flames, I learned about some controversy about this idea that I did not know until I was doing research for this episode. So, according to Today, American spiritual leader Elizabeth Clare Prophet, who wrote Soulmates and Twin Flames, the spiritual dimension of love and relationships in 1990, popularized this term. Now, the controversy isn't about her, but it seems to be about the organization called Twin Flames Universe that, quote, draws in members on the promise that they can be coached into finding a harmonious union with their true loves or twin flames, end quote. And the Twin Flames Universe Facebook group currently has about 66,000 members, and this group has been accused of encouraging and instructing their followers to pursue their romantic love interests even when their advances have been directly rejected. And that's where a lot of the controversy is happening, obviously. So, if somebody is directly rejecting you, I don't think that you should keep pursuing them. I don't think you should keep, trying to make them fall in love with you because you think that you two share a soul that was divided at one point. I don't know. That idea is just wild to me, especially the fact that there is a group that is encouraging this behavior. So moving on, there is the three lovers of your life theory. So this is the idea that we only truly love three people in our lives, and they serve different purposes in our lives. And this is strictly talking about romantic partners. So your first love normally happens when you are young. Some people call it puppy love. Some people don't really call it love at all. They refer to it as lust instead. However, the way I look at it is, even if you look back and you think it wasn't love, there is a chance that it was. It just might be what love looked like for you at that time, as I believe that there are different depths of love. Your second love is usually very emotional and tumultuous. Some people argue that this love involves betrayal, lies, drama, pain, etc. And it shows us what we know and don't know about love. And while normally this love isn't really great or positive, it does teach us the lessons that we need to learn about love. And then our third love is um, basically like a person who just comes into your life unexpectedly. This love finds you rather than you finding it. And you can try to run from it. You can try and put up whatever walls you want to, but this love is going to tear them down. And this is the kind of love that people normally really want in their lives. And your third love is supposed to be the person that you end up spending the rest of your life with, usually, according to this idea. I will be honest, I don't know a lot of people who agree with this idea, just because I know a lot of people who have, like, loved more than 3 people in their life. I've been in 3 relationships and none of them have worked out. So, clearly, I don't really agree with this theory, because at least, under that theory, my last love should have been my forever love. And it was not. So, maybe for some people, that idea of who you love in your life makes sense to them, and that's totally okay. The next idea that I want to talk about is the meet people twice theory. It's the idea that the person you're meant to be with, you will meet them at 2 different instances. And so essentially, like, somebody will come into your life and they'll be in your life for a bit, and then they will leave, and then they will return back into your life, and that sort of like confirms that they are meant to be in your life. And I was actually talking to my stepmom about this the other day, and she said that her and my dad's story does kind of fit this idea, because she said that they met once and they didn't really talk that much, but they did meet. And then after some time passed, they met again, and now they've been married for years. So I do know one person that would agree with that sort of idea. The 19 love theory is a theory that I've seen a lot on social media recently for some reason. And there are a lot of different interpretations of this theory. I couldn't find like one concrete definition for this idea. Some people argue that the person you love at 19 years old will be the one that you love the most. Others argue that the person you love at 19 will be the most manipulative, or they argue that the person you love whenever you're 19 years old will break your heart the most. Personally, the person I loved at 19 doesn't really fit any of these descriptions. I will say, like, the person that I loved at 19 was a very good guy. Um, but I know, like, whenever I was 19 years old, I was going through a lot emotionally. There was a lot going on in my life that was very difficult to deal with. And I know that he was going through some stuff as well during that time period. So the way I always look back on that relationship was, it almost feels like we were meant to have each other in our lives for that period of time. We were meant to help each other get through that period of time, and then we were meant to move on, which we both did. And we both talk every now and then. Like, our relationship is obviously, like, we're not together, but we still both think of each other highly, and both very much respect each other, and we're very grateful that we met each other and had each other during that time frame. So this next idea I was going to save for my astrology episode. I think I'm going to do an episode on, like, astrology and zodiac signs at some point. I don't know. So don't take this as a guarantee that I'm going to do an episode about that, but I probably will. Regardless, though, I was going to save this sort of idea for that episode, but I changed my mind and I decided to talk about it now. So it's called the moon phase compatibility theory. So it's the idea that if you compare the phases of the moon on your birthday with that of your partner's, and your moon phases fit together to create a full moon, you may be a perfect match. Either that, or if you have the same moon phase, some people argue that that also makes you very compatible. So in an interview with Pop Sugar, astrologer Lauren Ash said that each phase of the moon can give off a certain vibe, and in turn can discern your emotional needs and desires, as well as how you express your feelings. So, for example, if you were born under a new moon, you're likely to lust after new adventures. Those born under a last quarter moon, she explains, tends to be more relaxed. But I will point out that literally at the end of this article, it does point out that even if your moon phases don't match, like, do not worry about it. And they literally pointed out that it's not that easy to find your soulmate or the person that you are meant to be with. So if you go home tonight, or if you're home already and you're sitting there already Googling what phase of the moon that you were born under and what phase of the moon that your partner was born under, and they're not like compatible, don't stress out. Please don't stress out. It's not that deep. But it is interesting to look up, because why not, you know? So we're going to talk about the invisible string theory next. This is a deterministic theory. Is that a word, actually? Deterministic? I think it is. But the other day I was talking to somebody, and I said that word, and they were like, is that a real word? And I'm like, I think so. Like, it's the idea that something's predetermined, or it's fate. That's what I mean when I say that. I'm going to have to Google that once I'm done recording this episode. I hope that's a word. But anyway, now you know what I mean. And the invisible string theory has been a popular topic on social media recently. I think I heard about this theory a long time ago, though, and I forgot about it until I saw posts about it recently. But it's the idea that if two people are meant to have a connection and be in each other's lives, whether it's romantic or not, it is fate that they will have this connection. So it's almost like there is an invisible string connecting their souls. So basically, like, if you're meant to have somebody in your life, they're going to be in your life. Whether you like it or not, they are going to be in your life. It is fate. There's nothing you can do about it. It was already predetermined by something in the universe. And I don't necessarily believe this fully, but I will say, like, it is weird sometimes. Whether you know it in the moment or not, it feels like some people are supposed to be in your life regardless of whether or not they're meant to stay. I think there have been people in my life who it almost feels like they were meant to be in my life because they were meant to, like, teach me a lesson or to help me through, like, a particular time of my life. I don't know. Like, I'm sure a lot of people have felt that way, where, like, looking back, they feel like certain people were meant to be in their lives, or certain things happened in their lives and it was like meant to be for some sort of reasoning. So I'm going to be honest, I don't really know how much I believe in fate or the idea that things are like predetermined in our lives. So that's why I don't know that I truly believe in this idea, because this idea kind of acts like that it's fate that certain people are meant to be in our lives. Like I said, I think it's like odd that there's certain things that happen to us and it feels like it was truly meant to be, or it was meant to be that certain people were in our lives for a particular reason. Like, in a way, it's kind of like cool to sort of feel like it was fate that somebody was in our lives, right? But I've heard a lot of people like say things like that, like, oh, it was meant to be, but then they don't believe in fate. They only believe in free will, which is like a very contradicting idea. And I can't stand whenever certain beliefs that I have contradict each other like horribly. So that's why I don't truly know. Like I said, my relationship with like the idea of fate and free will is very complex. Like, I more so lean towards the fact that we have like total free will and we can do what we want. Like I said, there have been moments in my life where it's like, oh, something truly does feel like it was meant to be, and you sort of have like comfort in that idea. So I don't really know. I'm still wrestling with that. Maybe I'll do a whole episode about that one of these days. I feel like I should. I'll have to sit down and really think about what I think about that. I'll have to sit down and think about what I think about that. Yeah, that sentence did make sense. Anyway, the last concept that we are going to talk about today is the taxi cab theory. This is a concept that was actually popularized by the show Sex and the City. Again, this is another one of those theories that I've been seeing so many posts about on social media. I think it's because I've been liking and like saving a lot of these posts for this episode. So Instagram just keeps feeding me more. But like, thank you, Instagram, because it helped me prep this episode. So Thank you. I appreciate you. This theory suggests that men are like taxis. So when they decide that they're ready to settle down, they essentially turn on their light and commit to the first available partner, prioritizing timing over compatibility. So essentially, it's like the idea that men will settle down with the first woman that they find that they like when they're ready to settle down. Like they could meet the love of their life, the person that is arguably the most compatible for them, but if they're not ready to settle down, they're not gonna do it. And to me, that's such like a weird thing that you can spend so much time with somebody and never marry them, and then your relationship inevitably falls apart, and then all of a sudden you meet somebody else and then you just like marry them right off the bat. I don't know. Like, I don't know what people's specific reasoning for that is, but it almost makes you wonder if this theory is like somewhat accurate for some men. I don't think all men act like that, obviously, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are like some men that do that, especially because, like I said, I've seen that time and time again where men are in long term relationships, never settle down, and then all of a sudden, one day they decide to settle down with some woman that they haven't been with arguably that long comparative to their past relationships. And like I said, I've seen so many social media posts about this where women talk about this idea, and they talk about celebrity couples that this even happens to. I don't know. It's such an interesting idea. I would love to hear a man's perspective on this. All the posts that I've ever seen were from women and like their stories, but I don't think I've ever seen a man talk about this. I would love to know their perspective if they think that this is true. Maybe I'll have to reach out to some of my guy friends and be like, hey, you know any dude who acted like this before? Because now I'm really curious. So, to conclude this episode, like I said earlier, I don't know if I really believe the idea that, like, there's a certain person that's meant for us and we have to go find them. There have been instances in my life where I look back and I'm like, wow, I really needed that person in my life at that particular time. Like maybe it was fate. Maybe we were meant to have each other in our lives for that particular moment. Maybe I was meant to learn the lessons that I learned from that person and then they were meant to leave. But I truly don't really know. I do love the like actual definition of soulmates. I had the idea that like soulmates were people that we were like destined to be with, but I love the idea that the true definition is just like somebody who you have a unique, deep connection with, because I feel like everybody has that with certain people in our lives, whether it's romantic or not. Like, I think there is such a thing as a platonic soulmate, and I think that's such a beautiful idea. I also do believe that, like, you love people differently. Like, I don't think love looks the same in every relationship that you have. Like, I know for me, it's never looked the same for the few relationships that I have been in. I have loved those people very differently. Just depends on the people and your relationship and like the time that you are at in your life. Because you definitely like change throughout your entire life. So it does make sense that love's gonna look differently for each person. And I also think that sometimes you do also like love people that you are never in a relationship with. Hence why situationships are such a big thing nowadays. I mean, situationships, oh my goodness, that's such like a complex thing. I don't even fully understand them. I don't think anyone really does. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't think anyone really understands what a situationship is. Like to me, a situationship is like it's like more than friends with benefits, but less than like a committed, defined relationship. To me, a situationship is like where you're basically in a relationship with somebody, but neither of you will actually commit. I think that's the best way to describe a situationship. But like, I mean, you could be in love with somebody that you're in a situationship with. And I think sometimes you do just love people that are in your life, whether or not you're in like a defined relationship with them. I mean, if I look back, like I've definitely loved people that I wasn't dating, but sometimes I think when you love somebody, you have to realize that you're not always the best thing for them. Sometimes you're at different points in your life where like a romantic relationship wouldn't work. There's times where you both want different things in your life, so you have to recognize that like wow, you love them if you truly do love them and you know that like you're not the best thing for them, or that you can't give them the things that they want in their life, whether it be like, say, one person really wants to get married and the other doesn't, one person wants kids and the other person does not, and maybe neither of you are willing to compromise on those ideas. Sometimes, if you truly love somebody, you have to know that you're not the best thing for them, and you can show love in different ways other than just being in a romantic relationship with somebody. I don't think love is just reserved for romantic relationships either. I think you can love your friends. I think the love is just different, you know? I think love is just like, I think I'm using love as like that overarching term for where you like deeply care about somebody, right? And you can deeply care about your friends. Doesn't mean you're like in love with them like you would be in a romantic relationship, but you could argue that you do love them. Like I tell some of my friends that I love them, and they tell me that they love me, you know? Love shows up differently in different ways. And I think that's what the beautiful thing is about love. So, I mean, maybe you believe that certain people are meant for you, that you're destined to find the love of your life. Maybe you believe in the three lovers of your life theory, where you're going to have three different loves. They're going to look very different, but that third love is going to be the person that you end up with. Maybe you believe in the 19 love theory, where the person that you loved at 19 is the person that you're going to love the most in life, and you're never going to find a love like that again. Or maybe you don't believe in any of these theories, and you just believe that love looks differently for everybody, and everybody has a different path to finding the people that they will love in their life. Whatever the case may be, at the end of the day, it's fine.